Blog Talk Radio.
You're listening to the Jennifer Hain Show on Fire to Inspire. It is Monday. I'm ready to have a great week. I hope you are too. Tonight we have an amazing guest expert. I'm so happy to have him on the show finally. We have guest expert Mark Sephton calling from Coventry, England. I hope I pronounced that okay. It's 4 a.m. Mark's time, and we're so happy he's here with us. He has so many great things to share with you on ways to start out as an entrepreneur. And if you are already an entrepreneur, he still has some valuable tips for you. So make sure you're tuning in and taking some notes. So Mark is a personal mentor to entrepreneurs. That's exactly what he does. And he's going to share with us some tips tonight on how you can keep yourself motivated as an entrepreneur. And then also, if you're having a little bit of a hard time channeling yourself, if you're new to all of this, Mark can definitely help with that as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring Mark on the show. Thank you so much for coming on, Mark.
No, it's a pleasure. I'm really glad to have the opportunity to speak with you, Jennifer, even though it is 4 a.m.
Now, have you had your coffee? I know you also said you're battling a little bit of a cold.
Yeah, do you know what? I think a lot of success is based on when you show up. And I actually don't have coffee with me this morning, Jennifer. I've got some milk. I have been battling a cold, though. Actually, I feel pretty good.
Excellent. Well, I'm so excited. Why don't we get into it here? The way I would like to lead into this, Mark, is I think that maybe several types of people will be listening tonight, and that is entrepreneurs who are already kind of started. They're new to this, but maybe they have their own business as a personal consultant for a beauty line, or maybe they're just starting up a blog business. And then also people who don't know exactly where to channel themselves, but they can kind of feel that on the inside that they have those entrepreneur qualities. So, why don't you talk to us a little bit about what you do, and then give us some tips as to how one can identify themselves as an entrepreneur.
Okay, that's a great introduction. Thank you, Jennifer. I think, in terms of what I do, I believe there's 8 key fundamentals that make up a person's basic DNA. And what I do typically when I'm working with a new client is I expose them to these 8 fundamentals, which enables me and them to really be able to see how efficient and, in some cases, deficient they are in their life, because I don't just want success for them in their business or in their relationships. I want them to have success through these 8 fundamentals, which really help galvanize and focus them on who they are and what they're about, and then putting them in places of influence and playing to their own strengths. So I take them through, I call it a GPS system. It's a system that I've made myself. And what I do is I take them through this 8 fundamental GPS assessment, which enables me to then understand where they currently are within this thing called life. It gives them their own kind of sense of direction and purpose. And then we start to look at where they want to go, and we start building these strategies of how you get them from A to B. But a lot of it's about mindset, confidence, and really having a clarity and an understanding of who you are. And I call it the sniper. I call it being a sniper in that one area where you are fundamentally brilliant. And I often use the analogy of Michael Phelps. Put him in a pool and he's an absolute demon in the pool. If you put him on a stand-up comedy stage, is he really going to make people laugh? He's known for being meticulous in the pool, but he isn't known for being a stand-up comedian. So it's about finding that one sniper specialist ingredient that you have as an entrepreneur, and really focusing and tuning in on that.
And Mark, if I could I'm going to just hone in here real quick on exactly what you said, because we don't have to sidetrack for long, but a lot of people I've found have come to me asking, you hear the cliche things such as find your passion and you'll find your purpose, and quotes like that. So would you say being a sniper on a skill or a passion, or do you find that one and the same?
Yeah, I think that is a good question in terms of whether it is separate or whether it is combined. I think generally, you know, at the core of every human being, there's a burning desire, and I think, you know, often with a skill, so when we're naturally good at something, we're naturally passionate about it because we get a lot of kudos. People encourage us, so they give us affirmation for a skill. So a lot of that's fueled, I think, from passion. But the thing with passion is that in the Greek it actually means to suffer. And so sometimes when we go through life and we're willing to suffer for the cause or hold dear to who we are and our purpose, you know, actually passion means to suffer. So what is it in your life that you're willing, you know, to suffer for in order to push through and embrace who you really are? And kind of when you understand who you are, that's when crazy and exciting things happen, you know, in your life. And I definitely believe in that.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much. That was perfect.
Okay.
Okay. So you said 8 fundamentals, and then you went on to touch on the GPS system, and you mentioned being a sniper to hone in on that part of your life. How would you advise somebody to move forward with something then? So let's say they have this idea. Now it's time for action. So let's move into that phase of being an entrepreneur.
Okay, well, one thing I kind of really focused on last year, and it was a bit of a mindset shift, and that's what I tend to do with my clients. I tend to get them to think a little bit differently, and rather than being reactive, being proactive. So I'd say about 18 months ago, I stopped managing my time and started managing my energy. So rather than making decisions based on my calendar, whether I was free or whether I could fit it into a busy schedule or diary, I started to make my decisions based on my energy and my passion and my overriding mission statement in life. So if something came my way, Jennifer, and it's the same with your listeners, but if something comes their way, it isn't a question of whether they can fit it into their busy schedule. It's whether it's in line with their passion and their vision. And so a part of being an entrepreneur and tapping into taking it from an idea to an action is to be saying yes to the things that are lining up with that passion and with your overriding energy, rather than kind of taking something on just because you've got an opportunity to, or you can fit it into your schedule, or you could do with the money, but it's not really in your passion zone. So that's like one of the key things that I've seen a big shift in productivity with myself and also my clients. I was having a conversation with a lady who's quite high up in Dal in the US, and I was talking to her about this concept, and she started to roll it out to her team and saw an upturn in their efficiency, their productivity, and also their happiness, because if you're doing what you love, then actually it doesn't feel like work, does it? It starts to liberate other people. There's lots of enthusiasm, and it's more productive. The whole line benefits, the customers benefit, and team morale obviously clearly benefits.
Absolutely. And so I do see that we have some other calls, some people who are in the host box, and if you're just listening to the show, that's great. If you have a question for Mark, you can always post it on Facebook for me, so I know that you'd like to get on the show, and then you can also tweet me at Jennifer Hain if you're on Twitter as well, and we can get you here to ask Mark a question. And so, Mark, let's go ahead, and I have a question for you now. I love the quote on your website where you say, it's hard to see pictures when you're in the frame. And I think that that's so true. When we're in this situation, it's really hard for us to step outside of that box and maybe look inside to see what the right next move would be. So if somebody feels that they just have this burning desire on the inside to do something bigger than maybe like a 9-to-5 job, that's typically how one can identify that they're an entrepreneur, or that they kind of need to have the reins in their situation. So what are some other qualities that you feel somebody may have, and you can kind of say, you know what, maybe you're built to be an entrepreneur?
So say that bit again, Jennifer, please.
I'm sorry?
Could you repeat that for me, please?
Yes. So if somebody just has this, ball of energy on the inside, and they feel that they are longing to do something else rather than just sitting behind a desk, and they feel the sense of control that they have to have on their life. I would say that those are two qualities that somebody has been built for entrepreneurship. What are some other qualities you feel that somebody may be built to be an entrepreneur?
Okay, so you're asking about what sort of characteristics I think are within an entrepreneur. Is that right?
Mm-hmm. Yes, sir.
Okay, great. So I think one of them is the fact that you take risks. I think, doing things that challenge you. I always say to people, your enemy isn't being out of your comfort zone. Your enemy is being in it. Because we only ever really grow when we expose ourselves to circumstances and situations which are unfamiliar, and it gives us a great opportunity to discover about ourselves and also about those people around us. I don't typically get up at 3:30 in the morning to have a radio interview with somebody like you, Jennifer, but the opportunity to do that. I mean, I'm mad enough and crazy enough to do that, and for some people that won't mean a lot, and it kind of makes me laugh because I do a lot of reading and I research people that are successful, and most of them are getting up at like 5 or 6 in the morning. I have to say I'm quite a late riser and do some of my best work between 9 p.m. at night and midnight. But this opportunity came, and I think it's about taking risks. It's about seizing the opportunity, but it's also about problem solving. As an entrepreneur, you naturally want to solve something, and I think you've got to have audacity. I'm currently writing a book, Jennifer, which is going to be my first book, which is really about thoughts and the whole concept of you're only as good as the thoughts you think. And I'm challenged constantly by my own story, but it's been the times when I've been the most audacious and ballsy, if you like, that I've seen kind of the most success. And so being an entrepreneur is very much about believing that a leopard can change its spots. It's about creating your own personal revolution. There's nothing quite like being true to yourself, and for me, success isn't based on money or possessions or material things. It's based on success for me is a journey. It's something that's internal and not external, and I guess I define it as success as being, for me, it's about being at peace with yourself. And I think as an entrepreneur, if you're solving a problem, if you're taking a risk, if you've got that audacity to think outside the box, to expose yourself and get out of your comfort zone, that's really when you're going to start to tap into, that creative energy that we talked about.
Absolutely, and I think that you make an interesting point there, because so many people in our society think that they automatically pair success with money or materialistic things, or they see, especially with social networking. I recently did a blog on this, and people see that you're doing so well, and they have this image of what success is to them when they see someone else living it. But, I think it's really important to, like you said, pay attention to the inner peace, inner happiness. And that's when somebody exerts that energy, that successful energy and that passion for their life. And so, Mark, question for you. For entrepreneurs then, I have a lot of friends who have gone through this. I've gone through this myself. And when they reach that step where they've become an entrepreneur, obviously it takes quite a while to get yourself up and running, especially when you're running your own business, per se. So what advice do you have for entrepreneurs to keep themselves motivated when they go through maybe those first couple phases of rejection or phases of failure?
Okay, well, I think it's important that everybody understands that failure and rejection will come, because I find that sometimes if we don't expect something to happen, then we're not prepared for it. And that doesn't mean to say that I want people to kind of encourage those negative thoughts and feelings of rejection, but I also think it's foolish to think that, you know, we're Superman or Superwoman and not really be in a place where actually it's inevitable. And now it's almost like, you know, when failure and rejection comes my way, it's almost like, well, you know, that happens, and you just kind of shrug it off. And I honestly believe that the depth of our success is in our ability to how quickly we bounce back from adversity and from setbacks. And so, you know, for entrepreneurs that have gone through the phases, I think it was Zig Ziglar that said, you know, if you help people get what they want, you'll always have what you want. And I think that's really key. I think that when your passion is struggling and fading, and you're going through the motions as an entrepreneur, then you need to look at really, you know, just giving yourself to somebody else who's passionate about what they do, and really encourage them and help them. And I find that if your passion is almost spluttering, it's almost like when you jump in a car, you have jump leads, and so you attach the car that's working, its engine's firing, and you attach it to one that's dead. It automatically, you know, kicks and ignites. And so, you know, if your passion is struggling, then it's very much about connecting, you know, yourself with somebody whose heart, who is beating, and the energy and the rev. You know, we all need each other, and there's times where every car needs a jump start in its life.
And now, Mark, you know what? I think we have somebody calling in with a question for you. It looks like they're calling in from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Hello, who do we have on the line here? Hello, can you hear me? Looks like we may have lost a call. Let's see here. Somebody had posted on Facebook here from somebody named Stephanie. She asked just a couple of questions as far as if you're looking to start off as an entrepreneur, how do you handle it whenever a lot of the immediate people around you are slightly discouraging or don't have the faith in you that you need to get started?
That's a good question. I personally believe in the power of association, and it's one of the actual things that I will do with my clients, and it's very much about the environment that you hang around with is very key to your own mindset. And people say, how do you change your mindset? And a lot of that's through your five senses. It's through what you see, it's through what you hear, it's what you taste and what you experience, you know. And, you know, if you've got people in your life that are negative and kind of playing down this opportunity, honestly, I would actually go out and get some people that do believe in you, that do think the way that you are. I came across something the other day which basically said, you know, if you're the smartest in the group, you know, you need a bigger group. And so there's this whole concept that actually if people around you are pulling you down, because I believe that in life we have two lots of people, Jennifer. We have anchors and we have engines. We've got people in our life that keep us grounded, so they're very much our anchors. They keep our feet on the floor. And then you've got people that are engines that really believe in you and fire you up and help you to get from, you know, A to B. And you need a mix of them in your life. So you do need people that are kind of keeping you grounded. But then you also need those people that really believe in you and inspire you. So if you've got, you know, if you're out of kilter, really, if all your friends are anchors, then it means, you know, they keep you kind of on the ground, but they never let you, you know, launch for the stars and kind of dream beyond the current sphere that they can see. And likewise with engines, if you've only got engines in your life, then you're constantly, you know, risking burning out because you're trying absolutely everything and you're not really understanding the whole purpose, which is about consistency. But I think
you know what, Mark? Here we have Stephanie back on the line. I'm so sorry to interrupt you. Here she
No, that's okay.
Yeah, Stephanie. Hi, are you with us, Stephanie?
Hi, I think so, yeah.
Oh, perfect. Thank you so much for calling in.
Hi, I'm sorry. I'm having trouble trying to get through.
No problem at all. So Mark was just in the middle of answering your question here that you had posted on Facebook about just having the support around you. And I know you had mentioned on Facebook you're feeling a little bit like you're failing. because you don't have that support. So if you would like to go ahead and continue, Mark, or Stephanie, if you'd like to elaborate just a little bit more for us.
I mean, yeah, the main part is that I just don't really have very much support through my family or I don't really have that many friends anymore, but I mean through my family and everybody I don't have very much support, so I'm not sure exactly what to do because I kind of like having support behind me. My biggest support used to be growing up my mom, and she's just not very much into supporting me now because I guess she's not very successful anymore, so she doesn't want to see anybody succeeding ahead of her, I suppose. I just don't really know what to do with that.
Okay, Stephanie, did you hear anything that I'd shared with Jennifer while you were trying to call?
I didn't because I'm using my phone. I'm sorry.
No, that's fine. I just didn't want to repeat myself if you had heard that. I didn't want to waste your time. Okay, Stephanie, thanks for calling in, and hopefully you can understand me being English and also the fact that I have a little bit of a cold, so hopefully I won't put you off too much. You know what? It sounds like you're going through a bit of an interesting time in your life. I guess one of the questions that I'd ask you is obviously you're saying, I don't have the support in my life. My question to you first, Stephanie, is who are you supporting? Because I find that often when we go through a struggle or a difficulty in our life, the actual key is to then kind of be the answer to that problem to somebody else. So I think it's really important that you look for people who need your support and need your encouragement. And I think when you do that, you start to sow into your own kind of future and your own kind of destiny by helping somebody else kind of figure out, some of their difficulties and challenges through, you supporting them. How do you feel about that as a concept?
I mean, there's actually one very important person in my life that I support, and I've supported him since I was 11 years old, and I'm 23 now.
Okay. So
it's a pretty long time, but there's that one person, my little brother actually, that I've supported my entire life.
Awesome. He's
given me all of the advantages that I need in life.
Okay. And I was sharing with Jennifer before while we were in between trying to get a hold of you again, and I was talking a lot about that. If you haven't got a group of people around you that aren't supportive or are negative or don't believe in you, then it's very much about bringing in new people in your life that do believe in you. They do have that entrepreneurial kind of understanding and feel. So I think while it may be difficult, because it's hard to disassociate yourself with people that aren't good for you, and you find that in family. You can't choose your family, and often when I'm with some of my family members, they are kind of negative and they don't seem to understand who I am. And obviously there is a bit of loss there because you want to naturally be close to your family, but for your own sanity, I use the analogy of, when you're on a plane and they do all their little checks and they say, if the altitude in the plane becomes a problem, then the oxygen mask falls down. And we naturally want to help children and the elderly and people that are less fortunate. We naturally want to help people. But actually you're meant to put the mask on yourself in order to suck up that oxygen, and then you can help other people. And I think it's the same for you right now, Stephanie, is that there's a need for you to actually be able to take care of yourself, which may mean actually, protecting some of the time that you allow people to speak into your life. I say to people, you've got to be careful of who you allow to speak into your life, because too often we expose ourselves to the wrong people or the wrong things, and actually it's no good for our mental health or our mindset. And so my encouragement for you, Stephanie, is you're not alone in terms of how you feel, because we've all been there, and it may be a difficult road in the future, but it's very much about empowering you to make those choices and to start looking for people that do kind of believe in you and do, call you forward into your destiny. Because there's nothing worse than having somebody in your life that just speaks down on you and discourages you. And I just have rid myself of people like that. I have no time for people that are negative and just speak, down at you. And so my call to you is to really just make that brave step and start to step away from some of those people that, are really negative towards you.
And Stephanie, you have 2 people in your network now, so you can lean to me and Mark.
Absolutely.
So,
absolutely.
That's all you need sometimes, just one person or 2 people to get you started.
I can see that, and I appreciate that, honestly.
Well, we do have to begin wrapping it up, so I hate to cut this short, but Mark, a great thing for Stephanie and anyone else who's listening in, and Stephanie, I really appreciate you calling in, because that takes courage, A, because we're live, and B, because a lot of people feel the same exact way, but it just takes one person to maybe voice it, and then you'll probably realize so many other people who related to you tonight, or at least are in somewhat of the same boat. So, Mark, why don't you let us know how we can all reach out to you or connect to you privately for some of the further questions?
Yeah, Twitter is probably the place where I'm involved in the most. So if you're not following me on Twitter, it's @SephtonMark. And I'm sure, Jennifer, you've been tweeting anyway, so anybody that kind of has been following you will be able to find me from that. But people can go to my website, which is marksephton.com. It's nice and easy. I love to meet with new people, love the opportunity just to kind of encourage and challenge people to think differently. I often say, God didn't make a table and he didn't make a car, but he planted a tree and he put iron in the ground. And really, the challenge is what are you going to do with what God's given you? And it's all about, tapping into your own thoughts and creating that headspace for you to be able to reflect and to be able to really understand your own passions. But I'm hoping that what I've shared with Stephanie is something that she can implement straight away, and, just to be encouraged that we're all on a journey.
Yes. Thank you so much. And Stephanie, we'll let you get off the line here, and I really appreciate, again, you calling in.
Thank you. I'll talk to you probably in a little bit then.
Okay, sounds great. Thanks, Stephanie.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.
All right. And Mark, so why don't you also share with us your website, because I found that a very helpful resource when I was starting to learn about you. And I know on YouTube as well, you can also see some really great videos that you've made. So if you could just share your website and YouTube, and then we'll go ahead and call it a night.
Sure, no problem. Okay, so my website is marksephton.com. Sephton's SEPHTON. So that's marksephton.com. And then my YouTube video, I believe everybody's got a story to tell, and I'm not driven by money. I'm driven by positively influencing those that I meet and come across. And so my YouTube videos are an extension of that. And typically I do a new video, once a week, just to really inspire and encourage. It's not about me being indulgent and liking the sound of my own voice and liking how I look, on video. It's, there's always going to be a little bit of that. I think if people are honest, there's always, some excitement in terms of becoming a voice. But, those YouTube videos are really about just helping people. And I've had some incredible comments from people that I've never met that, it spoke to them in their relationships. I've had some of my videos played in churches and all sorts of
That's wonderful.
Yeah, it is. It's incredible. So my YouTube handle is Mark Jam Sephton. So I think if you search Mark Sephton, I should pop up, but you might need to find that magical word of jam in the middle of my first and last name.
Thank you so much, Mark. I really appreciate everything you shared. It was so valuable. This was our first call-in tonight. So everyone, make sure you check out marksephton.com, and wishing you all a great week. And remember, stay on fire to inspire. Hey, Mark, are you still there?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, the show just ended. I just wanted to keep you on the line because,